Welcome to
Still feel the pain of that coin hockey badass jamming his thumb up my butthole.
Turning and turning in the widening journey. The falcon cannot hear the falconer.
As always,
Things
follow
fall
the plan.
apart.
You've
The
been saying
center
the same
cannot
shit
hold.
again and again for like 15 minutes now.
Humanity is loosed
We don't
upon
have
the
any
world.
cow porn in our Discord.
Like a dim tide is loosed.
You're probably a nihilist.
And everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned.
my dick is 8
The
inches.
best lack all conviction. While the worst are most passionate and sensitive.
No, I got your keto right here right up your ass.
Well, you're a fucking pedophile, so like maybe an atheist or a Christian would look at this and say, well, you're just a rapist.
Pride is born of good works, positive qualities, and successful results.
And we will plant that right between Beardson's legs.
You don't want to get into a dick measuring competition with me.
Miss Loomer, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How
How's it
you?
going?
It's going great. How you been?
Doing well. Doing well.
Doing well. Now, you've been on the show many times, but for those who don't know who you are, which I think are very few, maybe give us a little short introduction, but also a little background on what you've been up to the last couple of months since you've been on the show.
Well, I think most of your audience is pretty familiar with me, but
Sure.
I'm Laura Loomer. I'm an investigative journalist, also the most banned woman in the world, probably the most censored woman on the internet, banned on nearly all social media sites, and I guess now two-time Republican congressional candidate in Florida. And really, honestly, over the last year, I've just been busy, as you know, been on your stream, your show, a few times over the last 6 months to talk about my congressional campaign. And now that that's over, I'm just focusing on, focusing on a lot of things.
Now, update us. Now, also, you've been added to cozy.tv/Loomer there as well, and we'll talk about that some as we go along. Now, talk about the election. It was a very close race. You can tell us what the final tally was, but it was in the single digits, I believe. We were following it. It looked like you were going to take it home. I know you've raised some questions maybe about the mechanics of the election, I guess maybe we could say. But what are your thoughts on the outcome of that race and how close it was, and where you've gone since then?
Well, obviously, it was a very close race. I do believe that I won this election. It's been contested. It's currently being contested. And most of the Republican clubs in this bright red majority Republican district that I currently live in and just got done running for Congress and also believe that this election was stolen. Nick Fuentes and several others, right? Lauren Witzke. And a lot of other familiar faces were in the room on election night, and they saw for themselves how I was ahead all night long and I was winning, and everybody
Right.
was really cheering the entire night. You were following along, and everybody was, getting ready to declare a Loomer victory. Even MSNBC was reporting that I was ahead by Daniel Webster by over 1,000 votes the entire night. And then all of a sudden, the computers in Orange County, which was the only Democrat county out of the 4 counties located in the newly redistricted 11th district, crashed. The computers just went down. And this was when 90% of the vote was in. And then they were down for about 30 minutes. And then when the computers came back on, all of a sudden, when I was ahead of Daniel Webster, 5,000 mail-in ballots were inserted for Daniel Webster. And then he was declared the winner of the election.
Now, what do you think about Webster? And, we'll probably wait till after you leave to go over the Fetterman debate from last night. But I'm assuming you saw some clips from that. We might just watch the whole thing later because I heard it was just an epic.
The entire thing.
Yeah, see, I was hosting my own debate. So I couldn't watch it live, but I saw people talking about it live, like how bad it was.
Yeah, I watched the Fetterman odds debate last night, and then I also watched the Lee Zeldin, Kathy Hochul, New York debate.
I heard she got crushed too, actually. Yeah.
Lee Zeldin did a really good job. I had never seen him debate before, but he's actually really
He's
quick
in
on
the
his
single
feet.
digits. I don't know. I was talking to my fiance who's from New York, upstate New York, Rochester area, about this race, and she mentioned that she was talking to her dad, and he had said that Hochul had gotten wrecked in the debate, and I'd already read some things. He's actually running. Lee Zeldin is running pretty close with Hochul up there, single digits.
The Republicans are actually, and that's because of crime. I mean, you look at New York. I used to live in New York for several years when I was working with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, and it was almost unheard of for Republicans to win. But now with the rising crime rate and the fact that it's really just open season and you have so many people getting robbed and murdered in broad daylight on the streets of New York City, and just an explosion in crime. People are sick of it. And they realize that it's either vote Republican or you may not survive just walking down the street to get your mail or walking down the street to go to the grocery store if you live in New York.
Also, I'll take a TTS break here in a little while. So if you guys send those in, normally if it's just me here, I'll let them play. But so we can talk a little bit, I turn them off. But I will still play those, and we'll let you guys get in. What do you say to the people in the chat who say, "Well, you know what? I went to school, political science. This is what I love. The horse race, all that stuff." What do you say to the people though who put it out there that you can't even really enjoy that type of thing anymore because you can't have any faith in the elections whatsoever, and the polling, of course, we've seen that go up in smoke as well. But just the integrity of the election itself, is there? What do you think? I guess because I guess you could fall into the black pill and not vote, and then of course that's not good. But what do you think about the people who say that?
I feel like lately I'm just the queen of black pills. I just feel like I've been permanently black pilled, and I don't believe that we have free and fair elections in this country anymore. I think that both parties cheat, not just the Democrat Party, but also the Republican Party. If we're being honest, I do believe that it was the Republicans and the Democrats that cheated to keep Donald Trump out of the White House in 2020. And I got to see firsthand running against a Democrat in 2020 down in South Florida, how the Democrats cheat. In both elections, something very interesting happened. And so I'm in a unique position because I can speak as an America First candidate who ran both against a Democrat and also against a rhino, right? An establishment career politician rhino. And what happened in my election is obviously in 2020, I won my primary, a 7-way primary, and then I was up against a left-wing Jewish Democrat communist incumbent named Lois Frankel in President Trump's district. I was endorsed by President Trump. He voted for me. And I beat the Democrat in a majority blue district in in-person voting on election day at the polls by 22.6%, and then in early voting by 3.04%. And it wasn't until the mail-in ballots came in that evening that she was declared the winner. And the same exact thing happened in this election where I beat Daniel Webster on election day. I beat Daniel Webster at the polls and in early voting at the polls. And the only way he was able to get ahead in the 11th hour in the 11th district, ironically, is by the insertion and the flow of mail-in ballots.
Now, what do you say about the GOP? I know you taking a couple shots, and I'm a long-term believer in kind of what you said, that both these parties are pretty much corrupt and not good and pernicious influence. That being said, you have to kind of work within the Republican Party, and like also what you said, I mean, it's either vote Republican or die in some cases, or vote Republican just to like hold on to like a tiny little sliver of anything. So I completely understand that. But you
agree with that concept of having to work within the Republican Party. I ran for Congress as an America First Republican because I believe believed in the hostile takeover of the Republican Party. I am not one to go along to get along, which is why the establishment spent so much money working against me. Kevin McCarthy, right, there was an article in the Washington Post where Kevin McCarthy a couple weeks ago was bragging about how he's going to become Speaker of the House because he hand-selected and made sure that all of the candidates that he wanted were going to vote for him, and he killed off all the candidates that were not going to vote for him. And I was very outspoken on the campaign trail about not supporting Kevin McCarthy. And the day of the election, you had the Congressional Leadership Fund, which is, of course, directed by Kevin McCarthy, bragging on Twitter about how they spent over $40,000 just on election day alone. That's not including all the money they spent before the election. That's on election day to just run nasty robocalls against me. And these robocalls, from what I was told by voters in my district, they were accusing me of being a Democrat. They said that I was pro-Black Lives Matter, that I was a Nancy Pelosi supporter, which is just absolutely insane because I ran my campaign, and proudly so, to the right of Daniel Webster, right? I ran my campaign to the right of a traditional GOP platform. I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm in favor of an immigration moratorium. I received a lot of attacks on the campaign trail for being an immigration moratorium candidate, but I was able to successfully win the largest retirement community in the entire nation and convert traditionally boomer voters into supporting an immigration moratorium. And so I think that that's, an extraordinary accomplishment on my part. They say that whoever would have won the villages, which I did, was supposed to be the winner of the election. So I do find it strange that political strategists from the onset of the campaign said whoever wins the villages is going to be the next member of Congress. And then they said, oh, Laura Loomer, she's 29. I was 28, of course, when I filed in the seat. They said, oh, she's 29. She has no chance to win the county, Sumter County, which of course includes the villages, the largest retirement community in the nation, because she's 29 years old running against a 73-year-old. But I overwhelmingly won the villages, despite what people predicted and what they said.
Now, what about have you gotten any support from institutional Republicans or establishment Republicans, or has it been just headwinds the entire time?
No, I haven't really received any support from establishment Republicans, and I'm proud, right? I'm proud not to have received support from establishment Republicans because I don't want support from them.
Yeah, if you had that, you probably wouldn't be here.
Right, exactly. So I would probably be disavowed, right? For your show and being friends with Nick and things like that. So you don't exactly get support from the establishment when you're a free speech absolutist. That's why everybody who gets support from the establishment is pro-cancel culture. So Congressman Gosar endorsed me, and there were some other members of Congress who it was very strange. Kind of midway through, decided that they were going to kind of backtrack on their support for me. But I'd say that Congressman Gosar is probably the most principled member of Congress, and I was really proud to have his support because he's a great guy. Probably the best member of Congress, in my opinion. He should be Speaker of the House.
Now, speaking of support from the establishment or lack thereof, Kanye West, down on his yay, trying to not step on the wrong side there. I noticed that a lot of people have been calling him Kanye West just like mean-spiritedly, literally like they were doing to Muhammad Ali. I know he said that. They call him Cassius. He used that line on Drink Champs, but they're literally doing that to him. Anyway, yay, and some of his commentary recently is being labeled an anti-Semite. He's been locked on Twitter and Instagram and elsewhere. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a free speech absolutist, and so I think it's pretty crazy. They're not exactly doing a very good job of not proving Kanye's point, right? So he says, oh, I'm speaking out against all these powerful people and these executives who happen to be Jewish, and they're going to cancel me for speaking out. And then now he's just canceled everywhere. So look, I don't think that Kanye West should be canceled and, lose his deals with Adidas and Gap and all of his contracts simply because of what he said. I believe that people should be able to make controversial remarks regardless of how offensive some people may think they, may interpret those remarks to be. And as somebody who has also been canceled, a victim of cancel culture, I'll say that being Jewish does not make you immune to cancel culture. And so I definitely agree with the sentiment that a lot of cancel culture in this country is driven by, traditionally Jewish organizations like the ADL, like AIPAC. I myself have experienced it, even being Jewish myself. The ADL actively, encouraged social media companies to ban me. AIPAC, as we discussed on the last show that I appeared on with you, they actually supported my non-Jewish opponent. And so just because you're Jewish, right, doesn't mean that you are immune. I would say that Kanye is correct in calling out that a lot of the executives, right, and a lot of the people who are in charge of these big tech social media companies and the TV stations and the banks happen to be Jewish. I'm against the cancel culture of Kanye West, or yay.
Yeah, well, he actually, I think his quote was, he said, he didn't say Jews. He said, who do you think invented cancel culture? But he heavily hinted that it was Jews. It said a bunch of other stuff. And I mean, I'm looking at the list here. That's why I switched scenes to show this on Telegram from Nick's Telegram, actually,
right.
And all the stuff. And all the stuff he's lost. I mean, it is kind of like you said. I mean, they're not really. And we just looked at the YouTube comments. Regular people are saying, "Wow, this is fucked up," and that they're proving him right. You see, rank and file.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
If they didn't want to draw attention to the fact that Kanye was trying to. Draw a comparison between these executives and all the cancel culture, they're not exactly doing a very good job, because they're just canceling him. And then you have groups like the ADL openly issuing statements calling for him to be blacklisted and banned every year. But I will say, I did see his comment where he said, who do you think invented cancel culture? And I saw that there were some people online that said, oh, well, he was obviously, trying to insinuate that it was the Jews who invented cancel culture. And I will just say that, they come for their own as well. I've been very critical of left-wing Jewish organizations, and I've even been attacked by right-wing Jewish organizations. So it's not just left-wing Jews, it's also right-wing Jews. During my last campaign, when I ran in District 21, even though it was the most Jewish district in the entire country, and I was running against a left-wing Jewish Democrat, even the Republican Jewish coalition, they had given all these excuses to all these Republican Jews in the district who had said, when are you going to endorse Laura Loomer? When are you going to endorse Laura Loomer? And they said, oh, well, she has to win her primary first. And then when I won my primary and Donald Trump endorsed me, they said, oh, we'll endorse a non-Jew before we ever endorse you. And they worked against me. They actively worked to sabotage my campaign, even though I'm Jewish. So it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. And once you get kicked off the reservation, you are kicked off the reservation forever.
Now, let me ask you, you mentioned they do go after you. I mean, it's without a question, without doubt. By the way, I'll play those super chats in a second. But I mean, in my take, they traditionally don't go after Jews quite as hard. And they seem, they kind of have a network to fall back on, usually, right? I don't think that that's controversial to say. But why do you think? Go ahead.
I would say that majority of Jews in this country, both Democrat, majority of Jews in this country are left-leaning. I mean, that's, that's not wrong to say.
But what I was going to ask you is, why do you think they're so fired up about you? Because I have seen them go after you. We talked about it with you many times, how the ADL targets you, and a lot of people who target, folks on this website and elsewhere, also fuck with you pretty hardcore.
Because they don't like the fact that I'm a free speech absolutist, and I also call them out. And so when I still had access to all of my social media sites, and back when I was actually actually doing some work for Rebel, I remember that I was living in New York, and I went to the ADL headquarters with a camera, and I showed up with a camera, and I was there to confront Jonathan Greenblatt, and I was asking him about why he was basically behaving like Hitler and making lists of undesirables, because this was back in like 2017, if you recall, when the ADL, do you remember when they made their hate list of people in the right? Yeah. So they made this list and they went after a bunch of people. Of course, they were all like mostly white Christian Trump supporters. And so I showed up to the ADL headquarters and they called the police on me and they had me escorted out. And I said, oh, I'm here to meet with Jonathan Greenblatt. You know, I want to talk to him. And they didn't like that very much. And then, of course, you know, they want Jews to be in favor of immigration. And I am not in favor of immigration. I do not want immigration in this country. I am in favor of mass deportations. And so one of the things that the ADL has used against me and has used to get me, you know, banned from various platforms. And you can see if you go online and look at their previous tweets about me, they always say, oh, Laura Loomer is an anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant bigot.
Right.
Specifically, right, they say anti-immigrant bigot. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being anti-immigration when you see that over the last year and a half, what Joe Biden has allowed for over 5 million illegal aliens to invade our country. We clearly have an invasion on our southern border. We are being replaced. I talked about it openly on the campaign trail, this concept of replacement theory. And clearly it's not a theory, it's a fact. And they act, right, they want to pretend like these are white supremacist talking points and that they're so radical. And I'm telling you right now, I ran for Congress in a retirement community, in the oldest district in the nation per capita. And for people who, you know, would go back and watch my campaign speeches or attended my campaign rallies and town halls, I openly talked about these things. And majority of my constituency agreed with me. And so they want to create this false narrative, right? That these are ideas and concepts and things that we shouldn't be talking about. And generally they have all of the Jews on their side. But because I'm Jewish and because
they have all the Jews. You know what? That's true. I didn't think about that. They have all the Jews. You're right. That's right.
Most of the
That's
Jews,
why they hate you, because they have all the Jews. We have one, and they're like, okay, we got to shut her down. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Majority, right? Over 73% of Jews in this country are left-leaning. And so, of course, there's other right-wing Jews. And like I said, not all right-wing Jews are like me, because you have Ben Shapiro, like guys like Ben Shapiro, who have attacked me in the past, and other right-wing Jews themselves who have criticized me and called me a Nazi or alt-right. And so I'm not saying that that it's just the left-wing Jews.
Right.
But they
you're right.
really don't like the fact that and I don't want to say go off script, because it's not like there's a script, but they really honestly just want to control all of them. They want to control all of the talking points within the Jewish community. And you have people in the left-wing Jewish community who do this, and people in the right-wing Jewish community who want to control all the talking points. And if you're somebody like me who refuses to encourage for others to be shut down, who actively speaks out against, you know, the banning of people who, you know, who make controversial comments or are openly critical of Israel, they'll say, okay, you're no longer welcome at our events. And I used to be invited to all the different events, all the different Jewish galas and the dinners, and all the different, you know, Jewish organizations on the right. And now I don't even get invitations from the right-wing Jews anymore, because they think I'm a monster for being a free speech absolutist. They don't want to have anything to do with me anymore.
Now, so you came to Cozy this week, and this made me think of the article I saw today on Right Wing Watch, and I'll switch over, and it says, it looks like Roger Stone, who was on the Killstream yesterday, shout out to him, and I really enjoyed that, hope to have him back. It looks like Roger Stone, Ali Alexander, and Laura Loomer found a home on Nick Fuentes' explicitly anti-gay, anti-woman, anti-black, and anti-Semitic streaming platform. And it shows you hugging Roger there. I know you guys are cool. He shouted you out yesterday while he was here. First off, welcome, should I say, to Cozy.tv. And it was great to get you aboard here. What got you to join Cozy? What are you going to be doing on Cozy?
Uh,
That's one question, but also your thoughts on this article.
Well, of course, Right Wing Watch is, I almost think that Right Wing Watch is controlled opposition in a sense.
I think
right?
so too sometimes.
I really honestly think that it's a right winger who just wants to follow all of our Telegram
like,
channels.
yeah.
Twitter since we're all banned, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems to be like an official Laura Loomer, Nick Fuentes, and Cozy, and
they really do. And you watch the clips. You watch the clips they share sometimes, and a lot of times they're hilarious. You know what I mean? Like,
it's our number one fans. I don't think anybody spends more time watching Cozy than Right Wing Watch.
I swear. And then it's like you said, it does seem like whoever it is probably like in all these chats under some all and stuff, and they're having the time of their lives. You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, they work for Right Wing Watch, so they have to.
It's really funny, but no, I'm really happy to be on Cozy, and I'm going to be making streams, and I'm going to be, posting my content. And as you know, I'm banned everywhere, and I'm not able to really post videos because everything that I post gets immediately deleted as misinformation or hate speech. And so I really admire Nick for creating a platform and making it available to people who have been canceled, who want to have a place and a home for their content.
Now, and I look forward to seeing that, by the way. Are you thinking about maybe giving it another run at the house too? I know we talked about that earlier. And how does that play into this, or have you given that any thought at all, or?
Yeah, it's just, I feel like I've been having a funeral for the last 2 months, to be honest, because it's just so disturbing when you see when you're a Republican, and not just a Republican, but specifically an America First candidate, you're not just campaigning against the left. You don't just have to formulate your talking points and formulate your policies, around an America First agenda for the sake of campaigning for Republican votes. You are campaigning against the GOP establishment and the Democrat Party, because you have both parties essentially working against you when you're an America First candidate. And we see this playing out all across the country right now, where America First candidates are having millions of dollars thrown at them in opposition, of course, towards their campaign by the House GOP, by the Senate Republicans. And so it's a problem. And I think that America First candidates have an uphill battle, but I'm not giving up. I've never been a quitter. And I did receive over 44% of the votes. I do believe that I won this election, and everybody in the room on election night, everybody watching, everybody who's honest believes that I won this election. And Daniel Webster's not in good health. I would say that Daniel Webster is the John Fetterman of Florida. He is sick. He walks around wearing a life alert. He refused to debate me because he cannot speak. And it's only a matter of time before he retires. And I'm told that he's going to be retiring shortly after November, which means that it's going to be an open seat, and there will probably be a special election. And given that I'm the front runner, and I, came within just a couple points, within 5,000 votes,
well, it's one of those things.
Ballot votes, of course. I do believe that the seat is mine.
Well, yeah, and it's like it was so close, and then like you said, kind of a con job here in the first place, flooding it with mail-in ballots, etc. But it's one of those things, and you have to dedicate a lot of your time to do a serious run like this, and kind of put your life on hold for years at a time.
Yeah, it's a lot, and that's another thing too, is that I'm not getting any younger, right? I'm not getting any younger. And for the last 4 years of my life, I have really put everything on hold. As soon as I was banned on all social media after 2019, when I was labeled a dangerous individual by Facebook and, pretty much shut down everywhere, that's when I first launched my first congressional campaign. So really, for almost 4 years now, I've been doing nothing but campaigning, and it really is exhausting. It takes a lot out of you. I campaigned 18 hours a day. I did all of my own fundraising. I, of course, had to have a ton of town halls and knock on thousands of doors, right, because we're the only deplatformed campaign in the country. And because Ron DeSantis' tech bill didn't do anything, contrary to what he said and told everybody on Fox News with Tucker Carlson. His tech bill doesn't protect candidates from censorship here in the state of Florida. And that's a problem. It's very hard when you don't have access to the platforms where everybody is discussing political campaigns and, the midterm elections, and it deprives you of a major audience. And I was really determined to become the first deplatformed member elected to Congress, and I still believe that that's possible to do. But it's very difficult. I don't think people understand how hard it is when you have both parties, the media and big tech, working against you, the most powerful forces in our country and the entire world.
Yeah, and then you have a lot of your own party working against you too, because they're all plugged into the same fucking machine. And
well, also too, you have people in so-called America First who are just petty and jealous, and people who claim to be America First and claim to be supporting America First policies, and yet they're just vindictive and petty, and they work behind the scenes to sabotage your campaign. And so there was that as well. You had individuals who were openly coordinating and plotting to sabotage my campaign while pretending to be America First, going around lying about my campaign and slandering me and trying to get people to not support me behind the scenes with the most egregious lies I've ever heard in my life. And so, that's another thing that we have in our party, and we need to purge. We need to purge the Republican Party of not just the rhinos, but also these phony America First grifters who are social climbers.
Now, let me go ahead and play some of these super chats and switch screens here back to the Right Wing Watch article. All right, now let me play this one. I don't think that you'll do this, but that's what it is.
$5 and $5. Hello, Ms. Loomer. Welcome to Cozy. You should challenge a politically provoked Brittany to a mud wrestling match at Ralphmania to determine the toughest Jewish girl of Cozy.
I am doing a wrestling event on January 14th, believe it or not. That part is actually there is a Ralphmania, killstream.live/Ralphmania, but I don't think you would get involved physically like that. Or would you? I don't know if you want.
You never know.
You never know. All right, you know what? We'll leave the door open. I like the way you think. All right, now let me play this. Is this Chaggot? No, it's not.
Chaggot sent $3. Laura, I'm Jewish as well. I assume are familiar with Kevin McDonald's culture of critique. Do you agree with the general thesis that us Jews have an evolutionary survival strategy, that is genetic, of subverting the host populations they reside?
You know what? I think that actually is Chaggot, believe it or not. Go ahead. Thoughts on that? Any thoughts on that? I don't know if Chaggot is a kind of a wild character that we've had on the show here and there. He is, I believe, 50% Jewish, but he hates himself basically, and so he's got a vasect. Well, I mean, he wouldn't describe it that way. Maybe that's a little harsh, but he doesn't want to propagate his. I'm not making this up, by the way.
It's a blanket statement, like I said, right?
I swear.
I understand, and that's why I'm more sympathetic to people having these conversations, and I'm not calling for people to be banned because when you look at the breakdown, right? You see, like we've already discussed and like we pointed out in previous discussions as well, majority of the Jews in this country and majority of the Jews in the world subscribe to left-wing ideologies and left-wing politics. And so obviously, those policies and those political ideologies are very destructive, not just to Western civilization, but also to our America First agenda and our America First platform. But I wouldn't, I try to not use blanketed statements because, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, right? Like myself. And I think there actually are a lot more Jews out there like myself who, are like-minded and believe in the same things that I believe in. But unfortunately, the people who are, in positions of power in the media, in Hollywood, in the financial system, and when you look at the makeup of Jews in our own government, right? There's 28 Jews in Congress, and 26 of them happen to be Democrats. They're not exactly saying what I'm saying, right? They're pushing a left-wing ideology, and so I can understand why people have the assumptions that they have.
Also, he has another question about a certain historical event. Chaggot, we're not going to get into that. That's all right. Now, no, wait, we played that one. Hold on, we played that one. Let me see. Jeez Louise. All right, now let's see. Okay, here goes another one. All right, let's see. Oh, maybe. There it goes.
Flash Gordon sent $3 ahead all night. Then the counting stopping. Then the Democrat magically won. I feel like I heard this story before.
Chat, do you want
No
me?
good, no good.
Chat's like, why not? Why want? All right, fine. I'll just let it play. Then.
Chaggot sent $3. Would you agree with those who say the Holocaust was fake?
Laura.
No, that was Chaggot again. And by the way, that's actually a real person. He got a vasectomy so that he wouldn't reproduce. I don't know. It's a long story. He's kind of a lore character on the Killstream. But I think that's actually him. Chaggot, why don't you just call into the stream if you want to call in?
Yeah, no, I don't agree.
Yeah,
obviously,
I didn't think you did.
Real.
Yes, I didn't think you did. All right, now let's see. And then this has to be Chaggot too.
I will say that I obviously believe that the Holocaust was real, but at the same time, right, I'm not in favor of banning people who have, discussions or people who, who discuss this, or people who make, like I say.
Do you think it's used as a bludgeon by organizations like the ADL?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you think it's used as like a rhetorical bludgeon against by organizations like the ADL?
Like to justify their cancel culture?
Right. Yeah, exactly. To kind of prop up and always, a lot of times, maybe not always, kind of cite that and be like, oh, hey, remember the Holocaust, like.
I'll say that there's a lot of, historical revisionism, and there's also a lot of, everybody wants to compare everything to the Holocaust, right? And I think that it's a little overblown. And I think that the ADL especially likes to, be over dramatic, right? And the attacks they make on others. Like you'll have people that just make, just very common sense criticisms of Israel. And I don't think that you should be banned on social media. I don't think that it makes you a Nazi. I don't think that it makes you a Holocaust denier to criticize Israel. But the ADL, of course, will, become very aggressive in their attacks on those who make any commentary or any statements whatsoever critical of Israel or any statements about the Holocaust. And I just don't think, regardless of whether people say it was real or whether people say it was fake, I don't think that people should be banned for saying things like that. I don't think that people should be banned for nonviolent speech. I think that we need to respect, what the First Amendment is. We need to protect all speech as long as there's no incitement to violence. And I think that all of our lawmakers in this country need to get back to it, because you see whenever this subject comes up, or, there's a lot of subjects, but especially this particular subject, you have people on both sides of the political aisle starting to use the term hate speech. Right. Kim Kardashian just did that the other day after meeting with Ivanka Trump. And she goes, oh, hate speech is never acceptable. Well, it's like, actually, the Supreme Court has already found that there's no such thing as hate speech in this country. And so you have people with enormous platforms and people with enormous political and social and cultural influence, right? People like Kim Kardashian or people like Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, for example, and they say things that are just not true. So two things can be true at the same time. You can not agree with what Kanye West said, right? And you can find his comments to be offensive, like they clearly did. But at the same time, you can be entirely wrong and incorrect in your statement that hate speech is never acceptable. There's literally no such thing as hate speech in this country. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people, especially when you see politicians and people in our own Republican Party, promoting this lie that there's a hate speech exception, right, to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And it really bothers me.
Well,
and
look,
that's why campaigned on free speech absolutism, and I really drove this point home a lot on the campaign trail as well.
Well, it bothers me too. And we were watching, it was the Goyim Defense League, actually, Goyim.tv, and they went in LA the other day after Kanye did one of his interviews, second or third one, and they did the banner drop in LA. They've done these for years, and they've gotten press out of it for years. The same way they go and write this, they go and do their banner drop, or they do their rice bag thing, and they get on the local news. It works every single time, basically. Well, this time they did it in LA, and they said something about Kanye West, and then it became, oh, Kanye inspired this. They are backed by Ye, and clearly they were emboldened by his commentary. And you think, no, actually, if you know anything about it, no, these are the same jokers who've been doing this for like 10 years, and we've been covering it on my show all the time. It's the same people, and now it's turned into something else. Anyway, I was watching this segment, and it was a journalist. It was a local journalist. And one of them, they were trying to talk to the assistant district attorney. They were about to talk to him in the next segment, asking, can we arrest these people for doing this? What is the way we might be able to arrest them? And then she goes, some people are talking about free speech, but, this is hate speech. And then the anchor at the studio, who you would expect to maybe, throw the brakes on this. These are journalists, allegedly. They're supposed to be defending free speech. And she's literally on TV saying, well, we got to have a conversation, and there's free speech, and then there's this. It's like, no, there's not. There's free speech. That's what there is. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. And that's the problem, is that you have people think that they're legal experts all of a sudden, and they really don't know what they're talking about. And that's what people need to understand, is that there's just free speech. There's no such thing as hate speech. Perhaps in other countries, right, where they do not have a First Amendment, but a lot of people, it's shocking, right, when you see some of the people on television, and it's not just leftists, right, it's people in our own Republican Party, people on the right. I've seen them do this on Fox News before. I've seen them do this on Newsmax, where they try to say, well, hold on a second, right? There's free speech, but this is taking it a little too far, right? That's hate speech. They don't understand, as I said before, that this has already been decided by the Supreme Court. I discuss this a lot in my book. I don't know if you've read my book or not, but I wrote a book. It's called Loomered, How I Became the Most Banned Woman in the World. And I talk a lot about the intellectual dishonesty on both sides of the political aisle, but especially in our own Republican Party when it comes to cancel culture and this concept of hate speech, which is entirely made up.
Yeah, it's just if people aren't thinking that there's going to be a major push to imprison and penalize through the legal system over your speech, like that's going to happen. They're openly talking about it. I mean, I was just flabbergasted, honestly, that these two local journalists were sitting here saying this just so casually too, and not even, there were no dog whistles or coded language, or maybe we need to think about it. It was actually basically a call to action to start criminalizing more speech. And it was, it's disturbing when you hear the media is supposed to be the guardian of free speech.
They were doing this after the Buffalo supermarket shooting, if you recall. Do you remember a few months ago when you had hosts on Fox News talking about how the FBI and local police needed to start surveilling chat rooms and arresting people for simply participating in chat rooms where there was so-called, what they called white supremacist rhetoric. And so even your own Fox News talking heads are openly talking about how they want, or they're encouraging law enforcement to arrest people for simply being in chat rooms or participating in chat rooms that they perceive to be white supremacists. And that's exactly what's happening on the campaign trail when I was running for Congress, right? And you can look this up. The Democrats were actively trying to create legislation to criminalize meme making. I believe it was Frederica Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, from Florida, if you recall. I think you talked about this on your show when it happened. You had Frederica Wilson out of Florida who tried to create and gain support for legislation to criminalize people who make memes that are critical of politicians.
Yep, I remember when that happened, actually. And they, quietly withdrew it or whatever. But, I don't know. I just think if you look at the polling, too, and this has been a thing for, several of the past rounds of polling. I guess the last 5 years or so, at least. If you look at like respect for free speech and should hate speech be criminalized and stuff like that, the numbers are kind of upside down on that in comparison to where they used to be. So I don't know. Anyway, there was something else. Let me see here. Super chat. Sorry, I didn't want to miss some of these right here. Oh, go ahead.
Anonymous sent $5. Laura, did you catch any of Lauren Southern's 3-hour documentary on being a victim of right-wing human trafficking?
Did you catch any of that? I caught the whole thing. We watched it on the sunrise.
I heard about it, but I make a conscious effort to not watch anything created by Lauren Southern.
That's not a bad policy, I don't think. I would have.
I did hear about it.
Well, what did you think about it?
It's a lot of drama, right? A lot of drama and a lot of interpersonal drama with people on the right. I would say that some of the things that were said about certain people were pretty accurate. But I think also there's, in my opinion, probably a strong sense of guilt that she feels after a lot of the fallout that caused her to initially go into retirement. But I really honestly didn't think too much of it because, like I said, I don't really spend too much time thinking about Lauren Southern or any of the work that she produces.
Now, let me play this. Hold on. Big Mac. Oh, why is it over there now?
Big Mac sent $3.05. Loomer, you are so beautiful today. Wow. Nice. Very nice.
There you go, Big Mac.
Thank you.
Shooting a shot. All right, now, why did it change the size, though? I don't understand. Okay, I'll try to fix that. This one didn't go through either.
Anonymous sent $3. Laura, I would die to work as one of your congressional staffers. I hope you win the special election.
Yeah, I think that I really honestly will win the special election, but they're definitely going to try to prop up a lot of different candidates and throw a lot of money against me. I mean, that's a given. Kevin McCarthy definitely does not want me in Washington, D.C. And I think there's also people in the so-called America First movement who don't want me in Washington, D.C. People who claim to be America First, like I said, who really aren't America First. They're all about themselves first. But
now, you mentioned that a couple times. Like, is there anybody in particular, or like, because you said that a couple, like, that you feel like kind of worked against you or said certain things here and then a different one somewhere else, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very, it's very clear to a lot of people that there were a lot of high-profile conservatives who worked against me. For example, you had Milo Yiannopoulos, who was openly on Telegram talking about how he was forming coalitions while working in the office of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to form coalitions with the left and the right to try to keep me out of office. And there are many people who have the screenshots. I'll send the screenshots to you and you can see them yourself. But I think that's really problematic, and I think it's a problem when you have people who are claiming to be America First and promoting this idea that they are supporting and promoting America First candidacies, then working behind the scenes, in their own words, with the left, right, coalitions of the left to take down America First candidates. And I know there's a lot of people, fellow cozy streamers who are very aware of what I'm talking about and have seen the screenshots themselves. And it's a problem. It's a shame. It's a shame that we have people that are so selfish on our side that they're willing to actually work with the radical left to sabotage America First candidates.
Now, I've known Milo for many years. It's kind of how I got known back in the Gamergate days. I came up through that circuit, I guess you could say. I thought you guys were cool. Like, what happened, or why would he do something like that?
I don't know. Like I said, we were friends, and I had always been loyal to him, but people change. It's very bizarre. They actually met on my campaign when I ran in 2020, but who knows what drives people to do what they do, right? So, but we're certainly not friends anymore.
Well, yeah, that's what. But was there any known falling out on your end, or did you discover the animosity through that betrayal that you laid out. I don't know anything about it, right? Either way, but
discovered it. Sorry, my dogs are fighting.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Honestly, I discovered it on the campaign trail this election season when these screenshots were popping up, when so many people who were, both of our mutual friends, people who I said are fellow cozy streamers, and people who are also active in the right-wing political activist movement, the America First movement, were telling me of things that he had been saying about me. Just the most egregious things, really nasty accusations and lies about my character. And obviously, these people, being my friends, knew that these accusations were not true. And so I really didn't say much about it throughout this entire campaign season until I saw the screenshots that showed that he admitted, right, to forming coalitions with the left to work against my campaign, which is ironically the same thing that he attacked Lauren Southern for doing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I believe it is.
Your
Hold on.
Haven sent $3. Milo was also siding with the accusers after the JLP hit piece came out. As far as I know, Laura Loomer has never attacked anyone on her own side. I side with Laura Loomer.
Well, I hadn't heard anything about any of this, and kind of was just pressing you a little bit because I didn't know. It sounded like you had somebody in mind with what you were saying, just as an interview.
We might as well just talk about it, right?
Yeah,
Since it's out in the open.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I'm friends with a lot of the Groypers. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of the Groypers, and apparently there's this chat on Telegram called Gab Heads that a lot of these Groypers are in. And this is where these messages were posted. And there's a bunch of Groypers in there who saw a lot of these posts and the things that he was saying about me. And I have the screenshots myself, openly saying that there's an active coalition that he has formed in his capacity of working in her office. I'm talking, of course, working under Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to work against my campaign. And I just think that that's really suspect. Why would you, if you're claiming to be America First, be forming coalitions with the left? I ran against an anti-Trump rhino who did not support Donald Trump during the second impeachment. I ran against a rhino who was the only Republican who skipped the vote on the January 6th commission. And we're talking about a 5,200 vote difference. And of course, these were mail-in ballots. But the fact that, not only do I have the fake news media working against me, I have the radical left working against me, and I have the rhinos working against me, but then I also have to deal with people on our own side being backstabbers and liars and, stabbing me in the back while they're claiming to support America First candidates. It's wrong. It's wrong, especially because, I've only been a supporter of the America First movement, and I had always been a strong supporter of Marjorie's as well. And so it's very shocking when multiple people,
I'm reading some shocking stuff. Somebody just messaged me, actually. Wow.
Tons of people in these chats sending me these screenshots. And, it's very disheartening to see, very disheartening, because really, honestly, when you look at it, and I know a lot of people who were there on election night, and I had Nick Fuentes there, I had Lauren Witzke. There were many people who were in the room on election night, and they saw how close this election was, right? You have to ask yourself, at what point does this sabotage prevent America First from actually having a true America First fighter in Congress today, fighting for their values and fighting for their agenda? And so these are very, very serious issues that we're dealing with, right? We're talking about deliberate forms of sabotage to attack and prevent a very viable, popular America First candidate joining forces with the radical left to prevent the success of an America First candidate who has always been a free speech absolutist and has always been extremely pro-Trump. And so I find that to be extremely problematic. I'll send you the screenshots right now.
Yeah, send them to me. I won't name who it is. Good a friend of mine, I'll say for a descriptor, who just messaged me some wild accusations, I guess, that was being circulated against you. I don't know if that's I don't even want to repeat them on air because some of them are kind of
the accusations honestly are disgusting. I mean,
right. That's you saw. You know what I'm talking about then. Yeah.
Calling me crazy, calling me mentally ill. Saying that I'm like a sexual predator.
Right.
I mean, these are crazy accusations that are just so beyond the pale ridiculous. And I just think it's so funny because, I'd always been a very loyal friend to Milo. He had no problem staying at my home for extended periods of time, had no problem borrowing money from me when he was broke at periods of time in his life. And just to be stabbed in the back by somebody who you had always been so loyal to, and of course, that's how he now has his current job working with her as well. They met on my previous campaign. And so I think that it needs to come out in the open because people need to understand and people need to know that there are people in our own movement who are working behind the scenes to sabotage these successful campaigns of America First candidates. And I am grateful to a lot of these groypers and a lot of my fellow America First friends and activists who obviously know that these accusations and these lies that were spread about me in the chat were total bullshit. And I'm grateful that I have loyal friends who, shared these screenshots with me and came to me and expressed their support for my campaign and did what they could behind the scenes to dispel these disgusting attacks and rumors. But I think it's important for people to know that, what you see on TV, people saying that they support America First candidacies, don't believe what you see online. Don't believe what you see on TV, because the people who are claiming to be the most America First are oftentimes working behind the scenes to sabotage America First. And, I grieve for my country and I grieve for the America First movement because I worked my ass off. I've sacrificed so much over these last 4 years to get to Washington, to be a fighter, to give a voice to the deplatformed, right? To give a voice to so many people who have been silenced and wrongfully deplatformed and shut down over the last few years. And there's nobody in Congress right now who is really, really fighting, with the exception, in my opinion, of Congressman Paul Gosar, for the America First agenda. And it's a shame. I mean, it really is a tragedy.
Well, I had no idea any of this had happened, of course, but apparently some people did know about it, like you said, because as soon as I started talking about this on air, and I'll look at what you sent. As soon as I started talking about this on air, a friend of mine messaged me and was like, "I heard all about that." From Milo himself, actually, and then went into many things that was said, and I was like, "Wait, I haven't heard any of this whatsoever."
It's really it's disgusting. I mean, I'm looking at one of them right now. Let's just say there's a coalition of left and right making sure she never gets anywhere near Washington. I mean, it's really hypocritical because you asked me what I thought about the whole Lauren Southern thing. Well, this is what I really think about it. I had never really been a fan of Lauren Southern, but a broken clock is right twice a day. And I will say that she was attacked, right, originally by Milo, if you recall, because he accused her of working with the radical left, right? That's what he did this whole expose on her for. He said that Lauren Southern was working with the left and was betraying the trust of people in the America First or right-wing activist movement, and that she should be kicked out. Well, he did the same exact thing, and you can see the screenshot right there. He said that he was worried that if I got elected to Congress, that I was going to have some kind of Lindsay Lohan meltdown in public and go around saying that Marjorie was my best friend. First of all, I don't even call her. So that's what's so funny. It's just he constantly lies, right? He just exaggerates so much about the extent of things. So she had originally said that she was going to endorse my campaign and then said that she was going to wait to see what happened after redistricting. But she had already told me prior to redistricting, right, that she was happy that I found a Republican district. And then I just let it go after that, because at the end of the day, the only person who can really control, the outcome of their campaign is the individual themselves. And so I worked as hard as I could, and I knocked on doors, and I formed relationships with people here on the ground, and I did the best I could regardless of who endorsed me this election season. But you can just see how over exaggerated it is. Like, a full meltdown in public in Congress for months. I mean, it's just It's total.
Well, I mean, literally, there were, like you mentioned, sexual predator. Like, there was wild accusations. I didn't even know this was even happening. Somebody just messaged me and said, "Yeah, I've been told this." Milo directly, actually, is what they said. Which I'll read.
Right. That's the thing. It's like if we're not friends anymore, you don't have to like somebody, right? You don't have to like an individual. You don't have to like them for whatever reason. But to go around and call them a pedophile and to really just say totally egregious things that would get you sued in a court of law for defamation, it's disturbing to me. It's really disturbing. And look, I understand that people fall out all the time and people have personality differences and people.
But what was the fallout? What was the fallout, though? What was the fallout, though? I was unaware. I mean,
it's really strange because, my campaign ended last election season and then we didn't talk for a while. And then it's strange because I had COVID, right? I had COVID in, what was it, like September of 2021, I believe. 2021, I had COVID. And when I had COVID, he was like texting me, let me make sure you're going to be okay. I want to send you a care package full of ivermectin and let me send you this. Let me send you that. Let me make sure you're okay. And so I hadn't talked to him in months, right, since the campaign had ended. And then he was so concerned about sending me ivermectin and making sure that I had recovered from COVID when I was really sick from COVID in September. And I hadn't really had a lot of contact with him after that, and
maybe he was trying to poison you. I shouldn't say that.
I guess in the background, while he was, claiming that he was so worried about me recovering from COVID, he was going around telling close associates and mutual friends that I was a terrible person and that I was crazy and that they shouldn't support me and shouldn't be my friend and that I should never be allowed to get to Congress. And that's his opinion. That's his opinion.
Yeah, like I said, I had no idea. I'll read this text just so we can get it on the record here, and then I'll give you a final thought there on this whole thing that I just kind of stumbled into. Milo, and this is kind of mild, like I said, compared to some of the stuff that my friend just told me that he was allegedly, again, I'm just the host, allegedly circulating about Miss Loomer here. Milo, and of course, I have a long history with Milo as well. He's welcome to come on the show and give his side as well. Milo says, my worst nightmare is she has a full Lindsay Lohan meltdown in public in Congress for months and won't stop saying that Marjorie is her best friend, even though MTG won't take her cause. You pray for her. I've done enough of that for the past half decade. I will be making sure she gets nowhere near the Capitol. Yeah. That's pretty solid statement there. And like I said, it seemed to be a not well-known among the public, but as soon as I started talking about it, I got several messages where it seemed like that had been, definitely been a topic of discussion behind the scenes.
His favorite thing to do, right? Like his favorite thing to do where he says this, right? Like he loves calling me crazy. He loves going around telling people, oh, she's so crazy. Like she's so mental. Like she's mentally ill. Like you can't support her. She's mentally ill. She's a danger to people and herself. Like he loves saying that about me. And it's just not true. Obviously, I'm a very high functioning individual. And for him to go around saying things like that, it's completely false. And look, if it's his personal opinion, right? Oh, I think that she's crazy. Great. That's your personal opinion. You keep it to yourself or you say that that's your personal opinion. But for him to go in these chats and to just, create these ridiculous lies about me and, say that I'm unstable and that there's so many problems with me and that I'm a danger to myself and others, it's just the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life.
Now, it's pretty wild. I have to say, we kind of stumbled into a big story here, and we'll see if he has any response to any of this. I haven't seen if there's been any as of yet. Now, as far as let me check these super chats real quick. I know we kept you a little over time. Can you stay for about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, if that's okay? Okay, all right, cool. Because I know I said an hour, but That got me sidetracked.
The thing is, I held my tongue. I've known about this for a while now, and I've held my tongue. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing. If we truly are all supposed to be on the same side for the America First agenda, then why are people going behind the scenes trying to sabotage viable America First candidates, right? Why? It doesn't make any sense. I had always been a strong supporter of Marjorie's as well. There's videos of her, talking about how she needs me in Washington, D.C. with her, talking about how great of a candidate I was. And so, clearly what he's saying is just not true. What he's saying is completely false. They met, right, as a result of my first congressional campaign. And I really don't understand where all the animosity is coming from. I really don't understand why there's so much vitriol and so much hatred, because as I said, I had always been a very loyal, good friend. And it's disappointing to see that, here I am. I'm certainly not benefiting from this at all. I don't make any money off of running for office. I have put my life on hold, as you said, for the last 4 years. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of effort, campaigning 18 hours a day with constant attacks and virtually no support from the Republican Party. And it would be really nice to have support from the American First movement instead of, feeling like there's people pretending to support when speaking to others and then working behind the scenes to sabotage my campaign or tell people who would have otherwise endorsed me or otherwise supported me not to support my campaign. I don't see a point of doing that or how that helps our movement, because I would be a force of nature in Congress. I certainly wouldn't toe the line with the GOP establishment, and I would definitely be one of the strongest America First voices in Congress in Washington, D.C. And I think it's a shame that the election turned out the way it did, because I would like nothing more than to get to Washington, D.C. and fight for America First.
Well, I agree with you for sure on that part. And, we supported you here on the Killstream. And I think it would have just been good for this whole sector, as I like to say, of the internet, and all of us, if you could have got to Congress. And I know I would have loved to have you back on the show as a sitting congresswoman, of course, for my own selflessness, but I think you could have done a lot in Congress, and so I'm hoping you'll still get there sooner or later, by the way. But
that's another thing too, is all of these lies that so many people like to spread about me, and lies that he spread. I mean, those are just two of the screenshots, but some of the other screenshots, like some of the things that people were saying and telling me that he was saying, he was going around telling people that I have 2 cell phones because I'm a Fed, right? Because I'm a member of Mossad, because, there's no other person in this country who's running for office who has 2 phones, right? Because it's unheard of, right? For somebody to have a personal phone as well as a campaign phone. And it's funny because when he was actually helping me with my campaign in 2020, he was there when I got my second cell phone. So he knew all along that it was a campaign phone. And yet he told multiple people that I have a second phone because I'm actually not who I say I am, and that I secretly record everybody around me with my second cell phone. I mean, I give my cell phone number to everybody on the campaign trail, and it's pretty obvious to anybody who is around me. And many people I know have both of my numbers. My number from, when I was living in Arizona, the number I've had my entire life, and then my campaign number. I'm certainly not a Fed. These lies just to sow doubt in people's mind that I'm not really who I say I am, and that I'm supposedly a con artist, and that I'm a leftist, and that I'm Mossad. It's ridiculous. I have never compromised my values, okay? I have never, ever betrayed anybody on the right. From the time I was in college, right, I worked with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, working undercover in the Hillary Clinton campaign, exposing the Democrats and their plan to steal the election from Donald Trump. Okay, I worked my ass off to get Donald Trump elected. I continued my work exposing voter fraud with Project Veritas for years. Then I went on to start my own media company where I would, make my Limerick videos and confront people. I did a lot of groundbreaking investigative journalism that benefited the right. And then as a result, I was banned on all social media. I've lost everything. Okay, I've been shut down by my banks. I have lost my gun rights. I have been banned on all social media, and I have been rejected by my own religious community because I'm a free speech absolutist. It's a lonely lifestyle. It's a lonely lifestyle. And if there's anybody who I would expect to be able to sympathize and understand, it would be him and others who have been subjected to the same fate. And so it's a shame that people continue to spread lies and try to distort my character and pretend like I'm somebody other than who I actually am. And it's disingenuous. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people on our own side who know the truth, working to spread these malicious lies and defamatory and slanderous remarks in an attempt to just sabotage me because for some reason they don't want to see me have political success and get to Washington and give people who have been silenced a voice again. That's a problem. And, you know, while we're on the subject too, one person who's actually been loyal and somebody who's actually sacrificed so much, and I think it's relevant because of the op-ed that she just published today, is Michelle Malkin. And I want to give a shout out to Michelle Malkin because, you know, while we're on the subject of people who have lost everything, right? Standing up for people and giving them a voice and fighting to give the deplatformed and the silenced a voice. Michelle Malkin is somebody who has really gone to bat for people who have been slandered and maliciously defamed by our own side, right? And as a result, she has been attacked and blacklisted by people who otherwise in the past associated with her and employed her. And so, you know, I just want to take a moment and recognize Michelle Malkin and express my gratitude for everything that she's done for our movement and the America First agenda.
Yeah, and I would co-sign that. I actually read her last syndicated column. I guess it was today, early this morning, I think, or yesterday, one or the other. So shout out to her. She's been on the Killstream as well. Met her at AFPAC 1, actually. So she's been a key supporter. Now let me play some of these super chats that have come in. What do you think they're going to be about? All right.
Froggy sent $5. Every single former Milo employee hates him. Ask why. Dozens and dozens.
I have heard a few things from them, some of those people, yeah. Go ahead.
Former Milo fan sent $3. Why does Milo implode on every friend and never a foe? For 10 years.
All right, now...
Milo Exposed sent $3. Milo says he was warned about Jan 6 ahead of time. Why didn't he warn Nick? Or friends?
I don't know anything about that. All right.
Milo Exposed sent $3. Director filmed Milo. Never could release the film because the law.
I don't know anything about that either. All right.
Anonymous sent $3. Ali is saying some serious stuff in chat.
No.
Have him call in and say it on air.
No, good lord.
Concerned Grow I percent $3. My only concern with you is if you support Zionism and Israel. At this point you can't be American first and support Zionism and Israel.
What do you say to that?
I think that there's a misconception of what Zionism is. Zionism, by its definition, just simply means that you believe Israel has a right to exist. That's what it is. You believe that Israel has a right to exist. I believe that Israel has a right to exist. And I don't see what the problem is. You know, Donald Trump, the leader of the America First movement, by definition, he would be a Zionist as well. I don't have a dual loyalty. I don't have dual citizenship. I don't see what the problem is believing that another country has a right to exist.
By the way, they meant Ali Alexander. Yeah, I'm down for that. I thought they meant Ali Jamal. And yeah, you're right. I do see.
You can have him call in.
Yeah, he could call in if he wants. Yeah, Ali Jamal, no. I was like, wait, what? Why would Ali Jamal call in right now? Sorry, I'm so used to him calling in on the show. I was sitting there thinking, what is this super chatter saying? He's completely lost the plot. I'm like, I'm not having Ali Jamal call in right now. And then it was me that had completely lost the plot because Ali Alexander had actually been going off in the chat and I'd been reading a lot of it, but for some reason it didn't register. I'm just so used to having Ali Jamal on. All right.
Stop the Steal sent $3. Laura is telling the truth. Most influencers know Milo's dirt.
Well, all right, now, okay, they sent that twice.
And this wasn't intended to be, you know, some shit-talking session. I was just simply saying, you asked me, right, to
I did push it. Yeah, I did.
On the campaign and the opposition that that I experienced. And I fully expected, right, to face opposition from the Rhino establishment because they hate me and they don't want America First candidates. They hate Donald Trump. I fully expected to face opposition from big tech, obviously, because I'm banned and they don't want my campaign having access. And obviously, the Democrats and the fake news media, they hate me. But I was not expecting to face the kind of betrayal and attacks from people on our own side who claim to be America First. I think that was, pretty shocking to me. I didn't think that people would go as low as actually forming coalitions in their own words. I'm not putting words into people's mouth. I showed you the screenshots. These are their own words. And so I'm not spreading rumors. I'm not gossiping. I'm not lying. You can see the screenshots for yourself. And it's very hurtful that people who I was once friends with and had respect for would actually work with the left, the enemy, to sabotage a viable America First campaign.
Now, let's see here. I think there's a couple more. That one says, wait, hold on. Go ahead.
Chaggot sent $3. I will say Milo makes you look like a saint. Milo, if you're watching, you said on this stream you would love to debate Richard Spencer.
What's that got to do with anything, Chaggot? By the way, he was going to call in, but I feel like it's off key now. Now let's see. Never mind. You sent the screenshots to Ralph. Yes, she did. I guess I don't have to play that one then, huh? Ralph Enjoyer sent this.
Ralph Enjoyer sent $3. Yeah, one of the main accusers of Jesse Lee Peterson believes his kid can do telekinesis and float off the ground.
By the way, Ollie Alexander's here. Ollie Alexander, welcome to the Killstream, sir. Can you hear me?
What's up, my man?
What's up, man? How's it going?
No, you know what? It's like I've been on Cozy for a couple of days, and now you guys are like occupying large chunks of my day. Good show, good guest, great guest.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, man. It's a blast.
No, but let me wait. Hey, Laura. No, let me weigh in here. Okay, so look, I've been doing this for one. I didn't know that you got your start during Gamergate, Ralph. That's interesting. Right. But yeah. Look, I've been doing politics for 15 years, and I was doing it kind of like, with campaigns and PACs and all of that stuff before the blogosphere was professionalized, before there was a single influencer, when Twitter had just first gotten its start. So I've watched a lot of people come and go. Nick sometimes gets trolled for being my friend. I get trolled for for echoing or sharing some of Nick's beliefs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, a lot of us move where we can find political agreement, where we can push our ideas forward and stuff like that. And what sucks is I've known Laura since she worked with James. I've known James O'Keefe, since he did the Acorn sting. Okay, so I go back this far with these people. And what I'll say is that Laura's not lying. I hate that she's been maligned by someone who's also maligned me, who's also maligned other people in this movement. And what's shocking is that, his accusations usually are rooted in something that he has actually done or he is accused of, oftentimes on film, text message. I mean, the evidence is all out there. Everyone knows it. The reason why most people don't deal with Milo is, who is Milo? Nobody knows who he is anymore. He doesn't have any fans. How can you have millions of fans and then everyone disappears? So, I just think that Laura's courageous. She's doing what she's doing. She's a Jew who doesn't have to associate with this movement. She's a Jew who wants an immigration moratorium. She could have cucked up and begged Milo and begged MTG, who I like. I know Marjorie and I know Milo and I know Laura. And but if I had to pick the three, it would be Laura as our fighter. And so I appreciate that she's on the stream. I appreciate that she associates with Nick, America First. And she hasn't told one lie. If she was telling a lie, I'd call her out because, I like to referee between friends and allies. But it's worse than everybody knows, but it's also irrelevant because nobody cares what Milo says. So it's kind of also super like, who gives a shit?
Now, why do you think Milo would have done that? You said he went in on you as well. What is the genesis of that? She seemingly didn't know why he would do that.
No, it's the craziest thing too. Okay, so when Milo got deplatformed, I was one of the few people. So when he gave that that press conference where that's really where he destroyed his career. His response to kind of those, it was kind of a false accusation. Okay, what they did against Milo was wrong. Okay, that was Ben Shapiro. That was a bunch of, ethnic people out of New York, who did what they did to Milo. That part was wrong. But everyone who knew Milo knew that it was directionally true, knew that what Milo had talked about and bragged about, it wasn't just a life experience. It was a culture and a lifestyle, that people would say that he, participated in and stuff like that. But when he was going through that, I defended him. His billionaire donors, the Mercers, were also billionaire donors to me. And so, even though Milo and I weren't close and we weren't friends at the time, we had shared mutual friends like Lucian Wintrich and all this other stuff. And I'm getting too much in the tea, but that is to say is that when it wasn't advantageous for me to stand by him, I stood by him. And there are very few people who stood by him, and we weren't even that close. And when he was out of money, I gave him $10,000. Okay, I've given the guy $10,000 because
I gave him a lot of money too and stood by him as well. I mean, he had called me and told me like shortly after he was banned everywhere that he was going to be homeless, right? And that he couldn't pay his bills and that he was going to go broke and that, he didn't have money for anything. And I gave him a few $1,000s too at the time when I was making money before I had been, totally debanked and deplatformed. But I was trying to be a good friend. And just like Ali had said, there were those of us who got pressure to not associate with him and not be friends with him, and people said don't do it, and they said he was toxic, and I was always a shoulder to lean on. I tried to be a good loyal friend, and this is why these screenshots are just ridiculous. It's one thing if you say I can't stand somebody, I don't like their personality, I hate them, I hope they lose. It's another thing to say, oh, we have formed a coalition with the left and the right to make sure that they get nowhere near Washington. We are working with the Democrats. We are working with the enemy. We are doing what we have said or what we have tried to cancel others for what we have said they've done, right? And of course, I'm making a reference to what he said about Lauren Southern. It's just hypocrisy. It's absolute hypocrisy, and it needs to be called out.
But here's the crazy thing. Wait, Ralph. Wait.
I do have a response from Milo, by the way, that I'll read out. But go ahead. I want to let you respond first. Go ahead.
No. Well, okay. I'll wrap it up with this. The craziest part is I don't think I ever did anything to Milo. I don't think Laura ever did anything to Milo. It's almost like if you're not calling him on a weekly basis, if you're not pretending that he's relevant, if you're not asking for him for his advice and then trying to quickly forget it, right? Then he somehow like imagines that people are all out to get him, or he resents that you're being relevant. You'll watch these passive aggressive things like how he forms a relationship. There's a cozy streamer who's a good friend of mine. Okay. And he's a guy who I introduced to Christ and all that other stuff. And what I'll say is that I watched Milo get close to this guy or try to get close to this guy, initially get close to this guy using the same tactics that he used to me. Try to give you advice, passive aggressive, fake confessions. And then it's like, if you leave the guy alone for 3 weeks, he wants to stab you. So I don't wish Milo any harm. I hope that everyone finds redemption. I hope that everyone finds their purpose and lives their purpose. And Milo significantly contributed to the culture of America. There's no doubt about it. His contributions during
and I feel the same way. I don't wish any harm on him either. And, I had always defended.
It's like if you leave him alone, he'll attack you. And it's just crazy.
I always mention him as somebody who was wrongfully canceled and wrongfully banned. And I think that what happened to him was wrong. And I certainly don't wish any harm on him, but just the animosity and the vitriol and the partnering with the left, as he said in his own words, to try to stop me from getting to Washington, it's wrong. And like I said, his justification for doing so, he always tells me, oh, you're crazy, you need help. Well, that's his opinion, right? If he thinks that I'm crazy, right? They say the same thing about Kanye West. They say the same thing about people. Am I eccentric, right? Sure, yeah, I'm eccentric, right? Am I high energy? Sure, yeah, I'm high energy. Am I everybody's cup of tea? No, I'm not exactly everybody's cup of tea. But it doesn't mean that I'm, not a functioning member of society like he's going around saying. I want these lies to stop.
All right, I do have a response from Milo. The second one in particular, I haven't read the first one yet. I assume it's pretty acidic. The second one definitely is, and again, these are the words of Milo Yiannopoulos, not me. I want to be clear. He says, "You can tell Loomer," I said, and this is the direct quote part. "Laura has an impeccable track record of failure to sustain friendships, failure to keep employees, and failure to win elections. Her behavior turns allies into enemies. No one can stand to be around her for long. It's beneath my dignity to debate or converse with her in any fashion, but I'd be open to boxing her at Ralphomania, just two men in the ring, resolving things the old-fashioned way." Is what he said there. And then to Ali Alexander, now this is the one I was saying was... he said, and then this is a direct quote. He said, "You can tell Ollie, stop having sex with little boys," is what Milo, and that's a direct quote from Milo Yiannopoulos there. So you were pretty
Yeah, let me respond. So here's two crazy things, Ralph. So again, Milo has met my adult lovers. I have met past adult lovers at his parties and stuff like that. He's aware that he's lying. Just like he does to Laura, just like he did to me, just like he did to Lucian, and a ton of other people who do not want to be name checked, okay? Just like he did to Mike Ma, just like he did to all of the people who work for him. Now, read again what he said about Laura, and then let me ask you, Ralph, what successful business has Milo not ran into the ground? What friendship has Milo kept for longer than 2.5 years? What does Milo have to his name? His books are ghostwritten. So, I mean, it's really clear that, again, he's projecting all of his life's failures onto Laura. And these are two people who acknowledge that Milo changed the body of American politics and culture in a way that nobody else ever had. So we can appreciate what Milo did, but we're not going to let him lie or project his own perversities onto everyone else.
And I will say, sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. Sure. I will say, too, that, for him to say that, nobody can stand her, nobody likes being around her, all of her employees hate her, all of her staff hate her, that's not true. Right? Maybe there's certain people who do not like me anymore, but, life happens. And, you see certain character traits or certain personality traits in people who you thought were your friends who are no longer your friends. But I certainly have friends. You're my friend, Ralph. I'm friends with Nick. Ali's my friend. If Nick didn't like me, if Nick couldn't stand me, do you think he would have flown out to Florida to attend my election night party? Okay. I have a lot of friends, actually. And I have a lot of people who are actually not in the public life, people who are not involved in conservative politics, who I'm very close with, who I have very strong personal relationships with. And so again, it's projection and it's all about opinion. If he doesn't like me, that's great. Okay. If he doesn't enjoy being around me or enjoy being my friend anymore, that's a personal opinion. That's fine, right? The feeling is mutual after what he did to me and what he said about me to people in these chats. But I certainly don't wish any harm his way. I just would really appreciate if people who claim to be America First would stop forming alliances with the radical left to take down America First, because I'm focused on getting elected to Congress so that I can actually fight for America First. Okay. I've proven myself. I've proven myself to be a fighter. I think that I've taken enough attacks and enough arrows and enough bullets my direction from the Republican Party, the radical left, and big tech to prove exactly who I am. Okay. I'm not pretending to be somebody else like he claims. Okay. And if people hated me as much as he claims people hate me, I don't think that I would have come this close to being in Congress. Okay. And imagine how much better things could have turned out if I didn't have people who pretend to be America First working against me. So again, it's projection. It's disgusting.
Well, I hope, again, I get along with all you guys like you talked about. And I would hope maybe, cooler heads could prevail or some type of detente could be reached. Because I saw somebody in chat mentioned it, how one of the episodes you were on the Killstream, actually. You were at Milo's, or Milo was at your house, I think, when he came on the Killstream. And then you came on at the same time. That's what it was.
Because he was staying at my house. This is what I'm saying. I've always been a good friend friend to him. I allowed him, right? I allowed him to stay at my place. He says that he hates me so much, and yet that's not what he said when he was trying to, help me with my campaign. He stayed at my place. Just as Ali has given him money in the past, I have given him money. I've been a good friend. And so, look, if the friendship has come to an end, the friendship has come to an end. But this idea that nobody likes me, nobody can stand me, everybody who's worked with me hates me. Look, everybody has had disgruntled former staffers or disgruntled former employees, okay? Everybody who is a working professional, anybody who is anybody is going to have a disgruntled former friend or a disgruntled former employee. But the claim that everybody hates me, it's just completely false. Maybe he hates me, fine. He's entitled to hate me, so be it. I don't care.
Well, yeah, and that's true. That's right. And again, like I said, I just hope things, we got it aired out. Apparently it was the talk behind the scenes already for some people. So it's not shocking. It is a little bit surprising that it came out like this. But it probably would have came out anyway. So it's better just to address it and let people have their say. But I would hope down the line.
I'm a very transparent person, right? Yeah. unlike certain people, in Congress, or unlike, a lot of people, right, on the right who claim that they're so transparent and open. And we've seen this, right? We've seen this over the years. All types of personalities who claim that they're not afraid of anything. And yet they get invited on podcasts or they get invited on shows and, they cower in fear because they don't actually want to be pressed on the hard questions. I'm a very transparent person. If people want to know something about me, they can come and ask me themselves. I'm willing to talk to anybody. And so I just don't appreciate this culture of, secret chats where people are, promoting lies and forming secret alliances with the left to try to, take out my campaign. Think of all of the people who are putting in their time and their effort and their money all around the country, making sacrifices themselves. It's not just me. I'm not the only person who made sacrifices. There are volunteers, there are donors, there are activists, there are people like yourself who are taking time out of their busy schedule, to highlight the campaigns of America First candidates. Nobody has time for this bullshit, okay? We have a country to save, and we are on a limited time frame to get this done.
All right, Ollie Alexander, do you have anything else before I run through? I got to run through the rest of these super chats. I'll let you get last word on this little segment here.
No. Let the people speak. I was just laughing. That was great.
All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate you calling in. Let's get you back on for a regular appearance sometime. That'd be great.
Let's do it, an Ollie roast.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you calling in. All right, now. Let's play some of the super chats. Thanks for staying longer. Of course, things kind of took off there a little bit. I'll try to get these super chats in. Okay.
DV sent $3. You'd be willing to talk to anybody. Would you talk to some of the TRS/NJP guys? Perhaps Mike Enoch or Warren Baloff?
He's a TRS guy. Would you talk to those guys?
I've already talked to Mike on the phone before, like several years ago. I think on Signal, I had a conversation on Signal with him about going on his show.
All right, now, we're not that friendly now, but he has been on this show before.
Years ago, like I said.
But you know what? If you went on there, I'd probably watch. I don't watch his show, but if you went on there, I would definitely watch that episode. All right, now, okay, go ahead.
Chupis Alpha sent $3. Hey chat, why did Milo go after JLP?
I don't know. All right, now. Okay.
Chaggot sent $3. Why don't you like Lauren Southern? Would have thought you'd be exactly in line politically, alt-right.
Not really. And it's not that I have anything against her. It's just you had asked me what I thought about the release. I don't really follow her content closely. I follow other people's content closely, and I saw bits and pieces of it, and I heard about it, of course, on Telegram and whatnot. But it's not that I have any animosity towards her.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Now let's see.
I just don't really watch a lot of women content creators.
All right, no.
I watched Michelle Malkin, but
yeah, I like Michelle myself. All right, now let me pull this up. Just Chaggot again. Chaggot is just infatuated with you.
Chaggot sent $3. Kevin McDonald's thesis is not that left-wing Jews are a problem to Laura, it is that, most, if not all, right-wing Jews are just as subversive but in a different way. Biological, evolutionary, behavioral and group survival strategy of subversion.
By the way, he's a right-wing Jew. But anyway, any thoughts? Any thoughts on what he said there? I would bring him in if we had more time. Maybe next time I'll let you talk to Chaggot because he really seems like he wants to talk to you badly. But any thoughts on his super chat there?
I'll have to read it.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Next time we'll do a review.
I'll have to read it. I'll have to read it because sounds like he wants me to read it.
Yeah, we'll do a book review on the culture critique with Laura Loomer and Chaggot.
We'll do a book review.
Yeah, we'll come on and we'll review that. All right, now that'd probably get ratings actually. Now that I think about it, let's see. Okay, now this is a little more adversarial.
Anonymous sent $3. How about we don't publicly air out personal issues? Take it up with Nick and ask if it's worth talking about. The Dems doesn't attack each other no matter how bad they are.
What do you say about that part there?
Right. The Dems don't attack each other no matter how bad they are. That's my point. And so do you see the Dems working behind the scenes to form alliances with the right, to take out other Democrats? No. So why should people who claim to be America First be forming alliances in their own words, not my own words, their own words, per these screenshots, with the radical left to try to subvert, since we're using the terminology, a campaign of an America First patriot? So, it's not like I'm trying to be dramatic. It's not like I came on here to have a drama session. You asked me to elaborate.
No, I did. No, I didn't know.
I mean, this is a huge problem.
I pushed it. I didn't know what I was pushing. I didn't know what. Now it's one of those things you never know what's going to happen on the Killstream. I said it before. I didn't really know what the story was, but it was one of those things where you could tell by what you said that there was more that you wanted to say. And so, as an interviewer, that's kind of one of the interview skills. Like, all right, well, what does she want to say? And so, yeah, it was me that opened the can there. That is true. Now let me play this. Oh.
Mike Enoch sent $3. You know, Laura, I've had a Jewish wife before. Smile.
Yeah, I know.
Mike Enoch sent $3. Fuck off, Chaggot, she's mine.
Oh boy. Okay, twice. No, we don't need it twice. All right, now let me see. There was okay, we saw that one. I think we've seen most of these. I'm just trying to see if there's a question here. Okay, fast score. I'm sure he's never heard this one before.
Fash Gordon sent $3. Ralph. Do a side-by-side of Ali Alexander and Sammy Davis Jr. It can't just be me type she boop they boop in the chat if you agree.
Thank you.
They do look alike.
They do. I mean, yeah, I've heard that before. That's what I was saying. Like,
Roger Stone calls Ali Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah. That's a nickname for him.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, they do look alike. Yeah, it's not even, they do. I mean, I've heard that many times. That's why I was saying that to the super chat. It's like, yeah, I know, he looks just like Sammy Davis Jr. We've seen him. But all right, now let me see, make sure I didn't miss any. I think we got them all. And then things kind of, yeah, I think we got them all. There's one more, but I'll play it here in a minute. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. I appreciate you coming on Cozy.
I'll just say, look, I don't want division in the America First movement. I think that, if we're going to take over the Republican Party and actually have, an America First takeover of the party and start getting more America First candidates, we all need to be on the same team. And, we need to be supporting America First candidates and not working against them. And that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on supporting people and working with people who believe in America first.
Well, very cool. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Let's get you back on maybe later in the year or early in 2023. I always love having you on the show. I wish you the best of luck with your streams here on Cozy. Also message me. Let me know when you fire one up, and I'll try to help.
Definitely.
Yeah.
get everything set up, and I'm really looking forward to it. And thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for everybody who called in and sent the super chat.
Yep. Thank you so much, Laura Loomer, candidate down there in Florida. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, there we go. Now let me get that. I didn't know that we were going to be stumbling into that. But we did somehow. I was like, I was actually thinking, clearly she wanted to talk about something. And I could tell, I've interviewed, I don't even know, a lot of people. And you're supposed to be perceptive on what they're saying. And that was the second time she had clearly referenced somebody in particular without saying their name. So I said, wow, okay, let's push it a little bit. And it didn't take much. And she kind of opened up on the Milo stuff, which I had no idea about whatsoever. Do I regret asking? Gen X Catholic said. Well, that's my job. So, that's just one of those things. It wasn't my intention, but that's just what you're supposed to do. So, as far as all that, we did get the response from Milo. I was sincere though. I would hope, I don't know. Maybe he was just saying some stuff in a group chat. I don't know if I haven't talked to him about it beyond that quote there. Hopefully he wasn't, actually like out knocking on doors against her or anything like that. I couldn't say one way or the other, but it sounds like maybe, he's just talking shit or something. But I could understand being upset about it too. So, I can see both sides of it for sure. I'm trying to do the diplomatic thing here as well after that flame ball segment that I did not expect coming out of nowhere. But yeah, I like all these guys. I would hope maybe down the line there can be some type. Maybe we need a friend fest too. Maybe we need, I was going to do one next year, but maybe we need to, fire it up quicker, quicker than I had imagined.
You don't want to get into a dick measuring competition. I have a bigger dick. I have a bigger dick. I have a bigger dick.